Welcome everybody to Go Local Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. I'm going to dispense with the other formalities and go right into it with Hall of Famer, our meteorologist, John Ghiorse. John, thanks so much for Skyping in.
Good morning. Good morning, Josh. It's a nice day down here in Florida. I guess it's been raining all morning up there, right? But it's kind of stopped now. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, it's just letting up, and it looks like it's going to be sort of off and on. I mean, listen, I just go to the Ghiorse Factor on GoLocal every morning to find out what my day's going to be, and it is always right. That is the thing that is most amazing. It's just always right. John, you've been with us since the very, very beginning, meeting in cubby holes around the city with the initial team. We had Tracy and Paul on earlier in the week. You could see where media was going 10, 11 years ago, and you knew it would be a digital world. Talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, I had just retired from Channel 10, and I think it was 2009. And I started to think that I wanted to maybe try my own thing online. And then I think I got a message from you. It was either an email or some kind of a note, and said, "Hey, you interested in meeting about blah 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 blah?" And I thought, here we go. I got someone here with some brights. Let's go. And I was very enthusiastic about it from the beginning. I kind of thought, having been around Channel 10, where they had a decent, really nice website, and I knew the web master there, Mia, and they ran a pretty good shop, and I thought, boy, if we could replicate this and do it better, it would work.
So, John, it was interesting. It's no secret you're going to turn 81. You were 70 years old then. This was one of you were so far ahead of the game compared to your peers. Paul and I told the story that when we went to first go talk to investors, if they were above a certain age and they would say the words, "Oh, I don't know about this digital thing. I like the touch and feel of a newspaper in my hand," we knew we were done in that meeting. Dead, gone, buried. But John, you knew where the ball was going. I mean, you understood that the future of communications would be via phone, on a computer. You were just ahead of the game as much as any of us were thinking forward.
Well, technologically, obviously, I wasn't ahead of the game because I didn't have, I'm not a techie, so I had no idea of how it was going to work. But it definitely seemed to me that the idea of appointment television, wait for the 6 o'clock news, the 4 o'clock news, or wait for the 11 or the sunrise, of course, with Frank. That seemed to me a little bit. It was going to go past at some point, and I didn't know how quickly it would.
I'm going to dispute your claim that you're not a techie. I remember sitting at a meeting early on. We were very, very good at Facebook from the very beginning, decent at Twitter, pretty good on LinkedIn. And we were having discussion, and kind of the lifestyle team, Tracy Minkin, et cetera, was talking about the beginnings of Pinterest. And you jumped in and said, "Oh yeah, I have a Pinterest account, and I put this and this up, and this is where I get the most interaction." You were ahead of the game on social media as well. By the way, when we launched your Facebook account, you had 5,000 friends within about 55 seconds. And it hasn't let up since.
No, it hasn't. And in fact, I feel at first I used to send a note back to everyone who wanted to be a friend because I couldn't get over 5,000, say, "I'm sorry, but I'm full." And, to this day, it stays at 5,000, and I must have a backlog of a lot of people who have tried to friend me, but I just can't do it with the restrictions that Facebook has.
So I have to tell this story, and this also backs up my belief that you were just ahead of the game. Paul and I, when we launched the company, we had a partnership with what was then called Citadel Broadcasting. It's now Cumulus, WPRO stations and all the rest. And the CEO of the company summoned us down. We were open about 3 months, and he summoned us down to New York. We were in their big boardroom. in New York, and Fareed Sulman, big veteran of the radio industry, and he said, we want to buy GoLocal. And, I kind of said, we don't even know what we're doing yet. Like, we're 3 months in, and we're making sausage every day till 2 o'clock in the morning. And he said, well, get me an offer. We want to buy you. We want to get more digital. So we came back and came to our team meeting. You were there, and Paul and I explained the meeting. We were kind of full of ourselves because, here was the CEO wanting to buy our company right out of the box. We explain it to you, and the first hand goes up. It's John Ghiorse, and he goes, why the hell do we want to sell to a radio group?
I don't. Well,
it pretty much summed it up. It was well done, John. You were dead right on that one.
Well, yeah, you think, I remember those early days, and it was, as you know, better than I probably, that it was tough. I mean, we had to make some mistakes. We did some really good things, and it was a tough swim, and the fruits of it are what you're seeing right now.
John, you've been, literally, you're the most iconic personality in television, arguably in Rhode Island history. You started in the 60s in Providence?
Yeah, 1968, yeah.
In the outlet building?
Actually, the studio was on the 5th floor of the outlet store. There was a set of studios, actually one studio with the radio studios, WTIC, WJAR, and it was. It's been a long time. I had the opportunity really to work with tremendous people, both on and off the air. The Art Lakes of the world, the Doug Whites, the Patrice Woods, Frank Coletta. If I'm on and on and on, I could go with just tremendous people. Meredith Vieira.
Right.
So that really helped me along. I was kind of like swimming in the weather area and going along with the popularity of the station.
And the station, people don't realize it anymore. Channel 10 was the most successful, for its first 50 years, most successful local television affiliate in the history of American television. For 50 straight years, it was the #1 station.
Yeah, I've kind of lost track, but I don't know whether Channel 12 has ever at some point come up and then gone back, but I don't know. But yeah, and as I say, it was a privilege to work there. Of course, I shipped over to Channel 6 there for a while, and that was fun too, working with Dave Lehman and Larry Estepa and Ann Conway, bless her soul.
Yeah. Ken Bell, all the nicest people going.
Oh, yeah, Ken Bell, just the salt of the earth. That was a good experience too.
At Channel 10, you became famous, infamous, iconic during the blizzard of that hit Rhode Island. Talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, that was the. I guess everyone has to have a big break, and I think that was the one for me because we were the one station that managed to. Well, we stayed. The others stayed on the air, but we managed to get a live truck stuck at the State House, quite by accident, I'm sure. But it got stuck there, and Channel 10 became the place to watch because all of the stuff from the governor and Governor Garrahy and so forth was coming from there, and. It was really, I was stuck, I think, from Monday morning all the way through till Thursday. And finally got a ride home to my home in Seekonk, someone got me a ride home on a ski mobile, I think it was. But it was great fun. And I can remember one sort of incident was Chris Clark was a sports guy at the time, and he got stuck there too. And at one point, we started sleeping in the furniture section of the outlet department store. All the beds, it was great. And they finally got us into the Holiday Inn over by the Civic Center over by the Dunk, and we had to walk over there. And Chris and I, after the late news, was starting to walk one night over there, and we were walking through deep snow. There was very few plows had been through. And we actually went up over a hill in the middle of the road, and I thought, Chris, this isn't right. And we kind of pushed it away. It was a Volkswagen. We were walking over to get over to the place. Yeah.
So I will tell the story that I wasn't going to tell. So when we first launched GoLocal, we met every Friday mornings at 7:30 in our first office, which was kind of underground over on Way Bassett Street. And every Friday for, I don't know, a year maybe. And finally, after about a year, one day, during the day, you brought your wife, Connie, into the office, and she came down the stairs and said, "Oh, this is where John's been coming every Friday morning." I said, "Coming every Friday morning? We don't meet every Friday morning." I said, "He said something about the foxy lady, but I don't know anything about meetings here." The look on Connie's face was of complete horror. You're like, "Knock it off, Josh." I corrected. We did actually meet there on Friday mornings. That was actually factually true. But the look on Connie's face for a good 10, 15 seconds was pretty good.
That was priceless, I think. Absolutely.
John, in all honesty, you were selected to the Broadcasters Hall of Fame this year. You have had that dream career. You've been able to do so many things. You've been an icon in the state. You really did, in many ways, redefine and branded weather, more so than maybe anyone in the country. I mean, guys from Boston have told me you were the guy that sort of first create the branding around certain aspects, including the Ghiorse factor.
Right. Yeah, that came kind of by accident, and the scale from 0 to 10 was something that just sort of made sense to me, and there are others involved too. It wasn't totally my idea. Dave Lehman, I think, was the anchor at the time, and he was encouraging of that, and also the news director and so forth. But it just seemed to me it made sense if you could simplify weather, because I can always remember, talking with people about weather, and if you get too technical about it, if you get too complicated, people are going to turn it off. Basically, people a lot of times just want to know, hey, is it going to be a nice day or not? And how do you I can come on and say, oh, tomorrow's going to be a nice day, goodbye, I'm out of here. But I think, along with the other technical aspects that some people like, putting a Ghiorse factor in there, 0 to 10, kind of, depending on the time of year, obviously the 10 is not going to be the same in January as July, but I think the simplification of it is what hit the mark.
Hopefully that ceremony for you being inducted into the Hall of Fame will get rescheduled for the fall. And we can all enjoy the time together. Who knows? It may be next spring, depending on how this this virus transforms itself. The other thing I wanted to point out to people is you might be the humblest guy. I think we'd worked together for a year and a half, and it was the night of two competing events. It was Brown was hosting Harvard in their first nighttime game, and we were also hosting something over at PPAC with FirstWorks. And we bumped into you, and you said, oh, we just came over, we were at the Brown-Harvard game. And I said, oh, what took you to the Brown-Harvard game? And Connie said, you had never disclosed it to me in 2 years. It was in none of your bios. Oh, John went to Harvard. And it always stuck with me, and it's always been a truism of just how amazingly humble you are about all your lifetime accomplishments and what you've been able to do and accomplish over, really 50, 60 years. It's been remarkable.
Well, I can think of a lot of other people who accomplished a lot more than I have, Josh. I mean, I'm just a regular person. I try and do the best I can. I guess one of the things that I always tried to do was, when I was out in the public, is to people come up and say, "Hi, John, how you doing?" Whether it was at the supermarket or wherever, I was always. I mean, people are people, and I like people, so. Pretty much basically that's about it as far as I'm concerned.
Well, of course you would give that answer. I'll add this. GoLocal, whatever success we've had, has 100% been one of the most key parts of everything we've been able to do. And, you know, many parts of the country, local news is dying. The newspapers are disintegrating. It's happening here in Providence, where the Providence Journal was once a great newspaper, and now they're just slashing. Corporate entities are slashing and slashing their workforce down to almost nothing. And we're in an unusual situation of GoLocal being able to fill some of that gap. And we would not be here without your contributions, John.
Well, I'm very proud to be part of the organization, Josh. You guys have done a wonderful job, fulfilling even more than what I thought was possible back there 10 years ago. And credit goes to you and the staff that you have, the people you bring in around you. It's really a pleasure to be associated with you folks.
Well, when you're not too smart, you learn the skill of bringing on smart people. So the Paul Krasinskis, the Tracy Minkins, the Kate Nagels, the Keyshawn Ramos. Let's see what Keyshawn Ramos can turn into.
Right.
And of course, hooking you in as well. John, I want to thank you so much for Skyping in. Hopefully we can do this a little more often as well, now that we've got the cool new studios. And hopefully we'll see you soon at the Hall of Fame dinner. Completely appropriate, top of the list, kind of Ted Williams-esque. That's my viewpoint of it all. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Josh. Take care, and all Rhode Island, be well.
Thank you, John. For everybody else, we'll be back at 12 noon with Dr. Michael Fine, former Director of Health, 1 o'clock, Governor Raimondo, and at 2 o'clock, Scott Cordishi, one of the other guys who helped kick this thing off.
Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. So everybody else, we'll see you back in a little while. Thanks so much.